thank you for joining the Indie Distributor podcast.
For having me.
Oh, yeah. I'm here with Avalon Stone, who's an exceptional female artist based in Toronto. Is that right?
Yeah, like around Toronto. Same thing.
Cool. Yeah. So today the first thing I usually ask is origin story. How did things get started? And I mean, I've seen a little bit of press about the as a 10-year-old writing or singing a Chris Cornell song. Obviously, a lot happens between, when kind of a flashpoint like that occurs and then the progression of your career. So how did things kind of come to be, and how did you sort of make your way in the industry up to now?
Yeah. Well, basically, I found my love for music when I was around 10. Singing Chris Cornell. I've been listening to music my whole life, but never really fell in love with it because it just wasn't my thing. Like, I'm not into pop. I also maybe was a little bit like pick me because I was like, oh, I don't listen to Justin Bieber. I don't just listen to everyone like the things that everybody else does, which I now realize is really stupid because Justin Bieber is really good. But I always like felt like I wanted to separate myself from the other kids in my school, and like I was picked on. And then when I started singing like rock music with other kids who liked rock, I felt like myself. Like it felt like something finally clicked where it was like, oh, like this is where I belong. So then I basically tried to chase that feeling, and I still am basically.
Nice.
That's people do music because they feel like outcasts, right? And so they find a place where they can belong. A lot of the time anyway. And that was what it was for me, and I fell in love with it. And then basically went to School of Rock, did that, and then started my own band through the people that I met there.
Okay.
And we found out about this blues camp that was in town, and like I got it recommended to me because a few people I knew were going, and I was like, oh, that's fun. Met a lot of people there. Then when I performed at the blues festival, because that's part of the blues camp, was like, there was somebody there who was like, you should be on the main stage next year, and I'm going to try and make that happen. And then I was like, oh no, I need like a band for that. So I had to like come up with a band and then enter this competition for blues. And then I did blues for a while, and went to Memphis, did a blues festival down there, did a few things like that. But basically it was just kind of like scrambling. Like, it's kind of what it is, right? It's like, oh, there's this opportunity, like, or a suggestion is like, you should be on the main stage next year. Like, I'm going to try and make that happen. And then I'm like, okay. And then it turns out like the guy ended up like, being pretty flaky, and he didn't like try to make it happen, but I made it happen because I won the competition to get there.
Nice.
So it's like, that's what happens. Like, people will promise you shit, and like, it's just not gonna, they're probably not gonna follow through on things, but you always should. So that's kind of like the message of that, because now I'm here, and I've like been through, like, I had that band until I was 17. And then we ended up going into rock, and then I met so many people, had so many
with the same lineup. You ended up going into rock.
Yeah, I mean, a couple like changeovers because people would go to college or like move or things like that.
Life.
But like same band name, almost. Band name. It's complicated, but yeah, like so I was doing that for a while, and I made a lot of connections, like real connections, not just networking connections, but like real connections and real good experiences. And yeah, and so then when I finally decided to go solo, then I had I had to figure out what I wanted to do, and I did, and here we are.
Nice. That's great. So when you're assessing opportunities, what is do you have kind of now more of a framework that you go through to say, yeah, I'm going to go for this, or this is something I'll probably just pass on? Or is it one of those things where it's like, because I've heard both sides of the camp. You say yes to everything because you have to, take every opportunity you get. And then what you just said about, someone turning out to be flaky and stuff. So what's your approach?
I think whatever feels right. Like whatever, like I think it was Larnell Lewis who said that there's 3 criterias, and one of them is it fun? Like, are you going to genuinely have a really good time doing this? 2, does it make money? Like, are you just gonna get your bag? And then 3, is it gonna be a good like opportunity? Is it gonna advance your career in some way?
Yeah.
Some obvious attainable way, or like maybe there's like a super great promoter there. And it basically has to be 2 of 3 to say yes.
Okay.
And I really like that message, and I've basically applied that going forward subconsciously, but I think that's a great thing to kind of get in your brain where it's like it has to have multitudes of value because it's
Hmm.
a lot of effort and a lot of energy to be going out and doing a show or maybe doing a session or maybe doing whatever, right? And you have to know that your energy is going to go into something valuable because you could be at home like writing a song. You could be like going to a show and making connections. You could be like practicing a lot. You could be like creating something. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, so you have to know like what your time and energy feels good being poured into. I
Yeah.
feel like that's also just gut.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that there's a couple of lineup changes and stuff as you progressed, and you sort of merged into knowing that it's going to be a solo project.
Mhm.
So in that regard, like, how has your writing evolved, working with, over the course of different folks, and up to now?
Well, honestly, I would say when I was in a band, like it was more we would all sit in a room together and they would figure out music parts and I would try to find melodies or lyrics that would fit into it. And then that's how we would build songs and usually we'd just sit there for like however long it took kind of thing, or do it like in a couple of days. Um, so that was a very different kind of scenario because we were all equal. Like we were all going to be playing the songs live, we were all going to be recording them, we were all going to be like, there was equal amounts of energy and future for these songs for all of
Yeah.
us, right? In terms of like, do we want to play these songs every like weekend for 5 years?
Yeah.
You know? So, there's that. But as a solo artist, like being able to write with so many different people that do this for a living, like who are internationally acclaimed songwriters or just like people that I really admire or people whose songs I listen to and go, wow, like that's incredible. I want to go into a writing session with them. Or just friends of mine that write in different genres that I'm like, how do you work? And then I basically take those approaches and it's kind of like just an exploration, I
Mm.
think, of what could happen because every songwriting session is different, right? Like sometimes somebody's going to be more forceful. Sometimes somebody's going to be really picky.
Like, as a
Sometimes,
collaborator?
yeah,
Okay.
like, this happens, right? Like, maybe I won't write with them again, or maybe I'll like make sure that I'm in a better headspace next time I do write with them
Or prepared.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
prepared. Yeah, exactly. So you need to basically be prepared for any kind of session that you might walk into as a solo artist. Like, hopefully, the people that you're going to work with are enthusiastic and flexible and like happy to work with you and happy to know what you want and also like give you a bunch of ideas and like ego, there's no ego anywhere. That's the best. That's the best
Hmm.
kind of songwriting session. Like when they have ideas and they're great, and then you have ideas and it's like just, like
Yeah.
that. But it's not always like that. So like, basically learning how to be prepared for any kind of situation and how to make it work and what you like
Hmm.
is super important. And honestly, like for the EP that I have coming out next, so I'm basically done. I have an EP coming out this month, obviously, and then I have one coming out later, and I'm already done
Okay.
that. And it's already recorded and everything, and I wrote it with amazing people, and like the process could not have been better. So it's just kind of like gotta figure out who you vibe with.
Yeah.
And writing with a bunch of different people helped me figure that out.
Nice. And that sort of lends into a question I had about artists always approach this in different ways. But as you mentioned, you've got one EP coming out.
Mhm.
I think it's on the 27th. That's meant
Yeah.
to break, right? And
Yeah.
then, so is the intent to like that's an EP, but
Mhm.
what's the plan for like physical copies? I mean, are those talks that you've had, and you kind of smiling like that's something that maybe you've deliberated out about a little bit?
Yeah, I've thought about it and it doesn't make sense yet.
Yeah.
It's something that I definitely want to do and have always wanted to do. I think like if I was to make an album soon, then I would have physical of that. It's just difficult. It's also about demand.
Hmm.
Like physical copies are wonderful and everybody wants them. Obviously, like everybody wants to have like their own vinyl, but you have to also understand that if there's no demand for it, it's expensive and it also kind of looks bad. Where it's like, I have this vinyl that I've made of, a collection of songs and like there's nowhere to put it. There's like I don't know where it's going to go
Mm.
unless you're using it as a marketing strategy where you're like giving it away to like people at shows or you're like mailing it to random people and saying like I hope you like this and like you know what I mean and
So
unless
it's
you're
interesting.
using it like that
Yeah.
then but to sell it if you were to make limited quantities maybe but to sell it it wouldn't make sense.
I think that's why the question always comes up, because it's something we talk about a lot too, is whether it makes sense, and some of it's kind of a self-fulfilling thing where it's
Right.
I want to have, because I am very familiar with the LP format,
Yeah.
and I miss having the tactile, looking through LPs. I'm sure there's an
Oh,
argument
I
to,
have vinyls all over my wall.
yeah, see,
Rows
yeah.
of them. So,
So it's like it's one of those things where it's like, cost be damned, I'm going to go through with this as a crystallization of the concept and the direction that we were in at the time. And it unfortunately it's not a very sound financial decision, even though there isn't a set plan in place for every copy of that to arrive and to do something intentional with it. But I think you have an interesting take on it, just to say like it kind of, without that intentionality, it's hard to make that decision.
yeah, that's the thing. It's like I also would love to have an album or like vinyl. I think this is my perspective on a lot of things, and I think that the first time you do something, it has to be very intentional.
Mm.
So the first time you release a song when you're just starting out has to be very intentional. You have to like have a lot of pre-prep before. You
Hmm.
have to like really find a good producer, really find a good mixer, reach out to a bunch of media places, submit all the things that you can all over like Groover and all of those things and see what you can get and really promote it a lot as your first single because that's how people are going to know you straight out the gate. That's how people are going to know you. The way that your first song performs does matter. If
Hmm.
you're getting a lot of media placement, awesome. If you're getting a lot of streams, awesome. If you're getting whatever, awesome, right? And you don't even have to have all of them. You just have to have something that builds hype, right? So it's about building hype. So the first time you release a vinyl and you're like, yay, first time release a vinyl, and there's 3 people lining up to get it, that's not hype. People are going to see that and people are going to see the lack of demand and they're going to lose interest.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's just like how it is, right?
Yeah.
Like if you think about psychology, but if you have like thousands of people on your email list who are constantly asking you for vinyl, that's a different story,
Right.
right?
Demand is there. There's a
Yeah.
couple of different things that made me want to ask. You mentioned Groover. That's not an ultimately well-known tool for indie artists in some
Mhm.
cases. Is that that's part of your strategy, regardless of release at this point?
Um, yeah. I mean, I always put it out like a little bit. I used to do it way more when I was independent.
Yeah.
But I do it a little bit now, like not at the same volume. When I first started out, it was like every playlist.
Mm.
Every playlist I could possibly submit it to. Um, they'd obviously listen to it and then judge and then see. It's not like you're paying to get place. It's like you're paying for them to listen to it to
Yeah.
see if it's worthy, right? So it's not like I wouldn't think of it as like a pay to get your music out there.
Yeah. Pay to be placed. I mean,
Exactly.
it's also cost prohibitive though, as well, right? Because
Yes.
they're running a business, and
Yeah.
I just think it's interesting because I don't usually hear Groover get brought up, but I
Mhm.
know it can have a profoundly positive effect. But I think only if you have, to use your word, intentionality behind it, to say, I'm going to listen to what these people say about my work and take it to heart, and then use it for my follow-up releases.
Yeah. Well, you also have to, like, to piggyback onto what you said, like the intentionality. When you submit to anything, whether that's media outlets, playlists, anything like that, podcasts, interviews, whatever kind of media or placement out there, it has to go along with your message,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like if I'm right, like I'm a hard rock artist. If I were to submit to a playlist on Groover saying like, oh, beach days,
Yeah.
that doesn't work.
or no offense to Bieber, but Bieber-esque
Yeah, exactly. It
tracks.
just wouldn't work. And
Right.
that's like not because my music is worse than that or better than that. It's because it's just not that,
Yeah.
right? So what ended up happening for my first release, and my first release is still number one on my streaming platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And I like it's toggled a little bit, but it's going strong.
That's Forget You, right?
Yeah, Forget
Yeah.
You. Yeah, so for that one, what ended up happening is it ended up going on a lot of, like, workout playlists.
Hmm.
And I was like, "This is interesting," like, I wouldn't have thought workout. So then, like, even without Groover, it would end up on more workout playlists, and I'd be like, "Oh, like,
I'll
this is
take it.
interesting." Yeah,
Yeah.
like, so it's like you never know what it's like niche things that are gonna put you into the right category of people.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, like, that's pretty cool, and then, obviously, like, as people listen to your music more, the I'm most familiar with Spotify, but the Spotify algorithm will pick up on that and then push your music out to its listeners, like,
Yeah.
algorithmically, so
Do you ever find yourself leveraging Spotify's actual pay feature
yeah,
directly? Yeah.
yeah. Um, not like we do, campaigns,
Yeah.
so, it's different. It's like, they don't make people listen to it. It's just like a thing that pops up, and if people click on it and listen to it, then it can't cost money. So it's like it's still people having to click on the thing. They have to have enough interest to do
Yeah.
that. So, it's just like advertisements are everywhere. That's what the labels do. That's what the big labels do. That's what everyone does, right?
Yeah. Do you find that that's more effective than the sort of cross-platform pollination strategy of taking people from Meta to Spotify?
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, I find that most people that listen to me on Spotify, like some of them follow me on Instagram, or a lot of them follow me on Instagram, but it's more of a like I don't know how to explain it. Like they might not want to people rarely want to cross platforms. There
Mm-hmm.
are so many bands and artists that I'm obsessed with that I don't even know what they look like until I see them live. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. So I feel like people don't really unless they become a super, super, super fan, they're not gonna really wanna follow you on Instagram until they've seen you live. Then
I
I
see.
feel like a lot of people follow you on Instagram. My email list is pretty long, so a lot of the people that follow me on Spotify are on my email list. Um, so it's like it's really interesting because you never know what social media platform is gonna be relevant, right? So you got to build the email list so people know. Like people, like email's never going to go out of style, you know. Everybody
Well,
uses
it's
that.
also the whole marketing side of things, you know, being the owned media.
Hmm.
You have control over your email list and ultimately your domain and your website. Whereas social media like TikTok just got acquired,
Yeah,
and who knows what happens to some of these platforms when the
yeah,
tectonic plates start to shift around, right?
yeah. Well, I will say, like, Meta is influential to Spotify's algorithm.
Mm,
So the more engagement that you get on Instagram or TikTok, or the more okay, no, the more engagement you get on Instagram, the more like the more times you post and the more times you're active on TikTok, the better.
yeah.
Like Spotify will literally push your music out because they will see, Meta will say, "Oh, look, all these people are interested in Avalon Stone." And Spotify will be like, "Oh, okay." And then it will just go and throw your music out there. And so like if I take a break from posting for a while,
Yeah.
and then I notice like, oh, okay. So it is there. I don't think it's specifically people from Instagram all the time going to those streaming platforms. I think it's algorithmic.
Mm,
I think that it's different though when you release something. Like when you first release something, then people who follow you, if you post a lot, will go and listen to it, right? So, but like in between releases, I don't think it really don't really think it correlates too much like on a
yeah.
first basis.
I mean, let's face it, these platforms are intended to keep people glued to them. There's not a lot of priority given to people that, you know, are expected to leave one platform and go to another one to consume your content. So
Yeah.
again, I guess the theme of the talk here is intentionality, is knowing that if you're going to be referencing things on Instagram, make sure that you know what that's going to look like, and don't expect people to follow you over
Yeah.
to these other platforms. All right.
Yeah.
I think so. What do you think? Like over the course of your career, what's some of the best advice you've received from either another artist or either someone in the industry?
The best piece of advice. That's tough. That's tough. I've had a lot of honestly, all of the advice that I've received that has really stuck with me has been hard to hear.
Mm,
Um, and I think that's kind of interesting. Like, it's never been encouraging, you know, like, oh, you got this, or like, you're so good, or like anything like that. That has never stuck with me the way that tough, tough advice has.
mhm,
Like, when I went to blues camp when I was like 13, there was this woman that she's an incredible singer, incredible. And she taught there. I think she might still teach there. And she came up to me and she was like, Avalon, like you, I don't know, I don't say this to anybody. I've only said it to like one other person before you, and I think you have it. But people are never, ever, ever going to take you seriously if you don't pick up an instrument.
interesting.
I know. It is interesting. And I think it's true. I think you don't always, I think it's true in the rock genre or the blues genre or stuff that's very guitar or instrument based. I think it doesn't happen as much in pop or in hip hop or in like, you know, stuff like that. I don't think it's as relevant, but she was so right because being a woman in
Hmm.
the rock and blues industry, people didn't take me seriously until I picked up an instrument. They didn't.
Yeah, I wondered if that was something that's not to you know call too much attention to that side of it, but I mean, I can see that,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it sort of lends into the type of challenges that you have as a female artist. I would say maybe especially in this genre,
Yeah. I
because
would
a
say
lot of the influences that I've seen in your bio and stuff, I mean, let's face it, there's a lot of it's very male dominated.
it is. Yeah.
So how are some of the ways that you have, I mean, that's a great piece of advice,
Mhm.
obviously. And I mean, are there other situations where you've run into things where you can impart onto other female indie artists, listen, you should consider approaching things this way because it's going to save you a lot of trouble going
Of
forward.
course. Yeah, I think basically the message behind that piece of advice was it's about it's about what you convey on stage, how much presence you have, right? So I'll have people come up to me and be like, "Yeah, like I'm starting out and I'm playing shows and I just don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know what to do on stage." And I went through that when I started. I still feel like that sometimes when I take my guitar off. I'm like, I have these now.
Right.
You know, so it's so what I kind of try and say is just be insane. Like
Mm.
do crazy things that like people wouldn't expect you to do. Do things that create moments and stand out and like use your hands in interesting ways. You don't have to just stand there and sing pretty. You can like flail them around if you want to. Like practice doing that. Practice looking insane, literally, and in front of people. Like my performance coach, Luther Mallory,
Mm.
he taught me how to do a whole bunch of stuff, and our sessions were great. It's been a while since I've seen him, but he's absolutely incredible. And he basically told me that like you have to do so many different warm-ups, and there's vocal warm-ups, and then there's like energy warm-ups, and then there's like crazy warm-ups where you just act insane and do the weirdest things you can think of, like crab walk in the green room before you go on stage, because then nothing you do on there is going to be weirder than what you just did. So it all feels
What
more
happens
safe.
if you throw out your back or something while doing said crab
Well,
walk?
you know, no pain, no gain.
I suppose that's true. That's a really interesting uh, take on it because that's the first time I heard somebody doing or recommending the three sort of disparate warm ups.
Hmm.
Also, I mean, again with the genre, um, in some cases there's some I don't know if it's animosity, but like people are critical of like, oh, what do you mean you have to warm up your voice? Like all I need is Jack Daniels and a pack of menthols, and you know, like
Hmm.
really trying to make you feel awkward about. But clearly, like as a professional artist, you have to take that aspect seriously.
You do. Otherwise, you won't be able to do it forever. You won't be able to have a sustainable career if you don't take care of your voice. Like I try to warm up every time. Unfortunately, like some shows that I do, there's no space for it.
Yeah,
And it's harder in the winter because in the summer I could like walk a couple streets over and then start warming up vocally. But in the winter, there's no point.
yeah,
Like it'll just like there's no
fry your
point
chords.
warming up your vocal cords in negative 30 degrees.
Yeah,
It's not gonna work. So a
it's
lot of
really
the
tough with a 45-minute set too, because as soon as you're raring to go, it's like, okay, see you later.
Yep, literally, I'm always like, "Damn, now I feel like I'm in it and
Yeah,
I have to go." So that sucks. But yeah, I have a lot of songs that like I hit high notes in. So for me, it's very important to warm up. But again, I don't always get that. Um, I don't always get the space or the time or the energy to do that. Things happen, but for the most part, I think it's more of a philosophy where it's like take care of yourself, take care of your voice because you are the instrument, right? Like, and so it's like, I watch on show days, like I watch what I eat, I watch like what I do. I only have like one drink before I go on stage, if that, like if I'm just like feeling like, yeah, why not, And yeah, it all makes a difference. But yeah, I guess that piece of advice was really game changing for me too, because I was able to do a lot more interesting things on stage once I started acting like a weirdo off stage. Um, and it just works. Like it really does. And so that's kind of what I try to tell people who are like, I don't know what to do on stage. I don't know how to perform. I'm like, be be as weird as you can before you go on stage. And then like you're kind of going to be in that energy and you're not nothing you do on stage is going to feel as weird because like micro movements on stage that might feel weird as the performer, the crowd is not going to even notice.
Hmm.
So if you go like weird, crazy before stage, and then you get on there and you do like, you know, pretty out there weird moves, people are gonna be like, hell yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
Sure. You know? And it's not about like trying to be as weird as possible on stage. It's about feeling comfortable in your movements that you feel fit the vibe.
yeah,
Because I feel like a lot of the times people do know what to do, they're just afraid of doing it. And
sure.
right. So I'm just like, if you're not having a guitar, also try not having a guitar because I play with a guitar, but then it's like when you take it off, it's like, oh no, you know? So it really is just like being comfortable on stage and stuff like that. And I do talk to women about experiences in the music industry and what it means to be a woman in a male dominated field and like what that's like. But the conversations never have to really be that long because it's like we both know. You know what I mean? But if anyone ever like would like to talk to me about that, anyone who's watching this podcast, like please shoot me a message. I've been through a lot and I can hopefully impart some of that wisdom that I've learned.
Nice. That's excellent, and also lends into the. I know that you have a passion for mental health, for the Music Mental Health Canada, and some other initiatives that you've had over the years. Um, so how can fans best support that initiative, but and then also you in general?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's not about what I or what the fans can do for me or
Mm,
that cause. It's what I can do for that cause and for them.
well
Um,
said.
yeah, it's essentially like show up to the shows. Like send me a message, you
Hmm.
know? Say like, "Hey, this resonated with me. This made me feel this way." Or I've had a few people message me saying like, you know, your song Harder is what I listen to when I need a good cry or I just need to let it out or like this really made me feel a certain way and I've been waiting for somebody to say this like this. And that in turn fills me with so much like fulfillment.
Hmm.
Like, oh wow, like these songs don't just matter to me, but they matter to other people as well. And they could matter to so many people and make people feel like they're less alone in their struggles or make people feel heard and validated. It makes me feel validated when
Sure.
somebody else is like, "Oh, I go through the same thing." I'm like,
Yeah, I'm not the
you
only
know,
one. Thank God.
yeah, like, okay, I'm not okay, you know, it's not just me.
Mhm.
So honestly, that's what I ask is like if you want to engage with those things, obviously, like also donate to the mental health awareness and or you know mental health programs. I try to you know as much as I can, and like I think it is really about supporting and being in the same space as people who understand you, like as a sort of catharsis. Like when I'm on stage and over the years, like it's only been like 2 or 3 years, I don't know why I said it like that, but over time, like since I started this project and released Harder, that one is definitely the most like emotional and catharsis, like sad ballad song that I have. And it was my second song, which everyone called me crazy for because they were like, "You just came out with this banger, and now you're just gonna go do a ballad." I was like, watch, just
Mm,
watch. And for forever, for like the first year, it's like bottom, bottom of everything. And then one year, just like I started posting it a lot, and then it picked up, and now it's number two. And it
mm,
actually passed Forget You at like a 1 point for 5 months. And I was like, I told you it was gonna do it. Anyway, trust your gut. Anyway, so when I'm on stage and I'm singing Harder, I always get emotional because that song always feels relevant to me whether it's like because it's so broad, where it's like, oh, it could mean so many different things, and I get emotional on stage, and then I look out into the audience and I see people singing it with me.
nice.
And it's like that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
Like
I'd say
when
there's
I
probably no better feeling than that for sure.
no. It's the thing is it's like I don't feel happy. I feel shared
Mm,
and heard and like held. in a really interesting way. Like it's like a okay, like it's just this really good catharsis kind of feeling. It's bittersweet, but it's also so real. Like it's such a raw feeling to feel that because I'm like, damn, all these other people are going through this. And like I'm so glad that I'm creating a space where they feel like they can share that, you know?
Yeah,
So that's what I love to do. So yeah.
I love that. That's excellent. So, what does success, like, I know everybody says, "Oh, you make it in the music industry." What does
There's
that
no
look like?
is making
What's that?
there's no definition for making it. I will say that.
Hmm.
Like I think that making it is it's really you can make it and still have to work a day job. Like making it like I think success for me is to be able to do this for my life and to always improve and to always feel fulfilled and to feel nourished by music and to feel like I'm always improving. I think I already said that. And also be able to see every part of the world imaginable and play to lots of people.
That's excellent. Yeah, I think that's certainly a obtainable goal given your current trajectory.
Thank you.
Um, so then, what's next? You got obviously the EPs releasing this month,
Yes.
um, February, and then you've got shows. I think you're playing at Bracebridge Hall, and
Yes,
then what
tomorrow.
else is coming up? Oh, that's tomorrow.
This tomorrow. So, but playing Guelph on February 28th at Sonic Hall, with Cassador and Deerfang,
Nice.
which are great bands.
Yeah.
Super stoked for that. And then March 28th, I'm playing in Toronto. It's called Bitch Fest. It's a bunch of female fronted
Nice.
bands in a festival. Love that. Played that a few times and just love being around other women.
Yeah.
Um, I love my guys, but it's nice. um, so yeah, and then I'm going to Brazil in May,
Nice.
um, which is very exciting. And I have a bunch of shows that are going to be announced. But yeah, really mostly working on music and putting out something really great and building worlds around it, like building visuals and strengthening um, my my presence visually, whether that's on social media or whatever. But really trying to find my people, I think is my main thing because I know I feel like the first step is like your music has to be incredible and really, really good and undeniable. And the second one is you need to find the people that want to hear this. So I
Hmm.
feel like, I'm obviously always going to be working on that first one. Um, but I feel confident now enough to focus on getting my stuff out there because so many people already listen to my music, which I feel incredibly grateful for, and I'm floored all the time about how many people listen to my music. So I'm just like, okay, well, how do we expand? So that's what I'm focusing on right now.
I think that's wonderful, and yeah, it's. I think you got a lot of really compelling things to say. So for indie artists that are just getting started, um, I mean, there's no such thing as overnight success. It's like the 10 years that get you to overnight,
Mm,
which there's no easy cutting corners way.
no,
But I think what you've shed light on is cultivating your people,
yeah,
and then also ensuring that you have a way to get a hold of them that you essentially own.
yes,
The fact that you've cultivated your email list, I think, is a huge. Um, it's a very important aspect to your marketing mix
it
as an
is.
artist.
Yeah, and I also have a community platform on my website called Stone Circle. So I have a bunch of people who have like community vibe as well, and so that's what I love doing. Really is connecting with people. So yeah,
Cool. Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to jump on the podcast today. Avalon Stone obviously got a lot of stuff going on, and we're going to be rooting for you and watching as things progress. But yeah, can't thank you enough for jumping on.
thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.